Welcome, everyone, to this episode of People, Their Passion and Purpose, hosted by myself, your life story coach. I am so excited to be here today with Heather Goldsmith. She is the founder of Campus to Career. Heather helps students and young professionals gain clarity, build confidence, and land opportunities they're actually excited about. So I'm really excited, Heather. We didn't meet long ago, but we connected so nicely. Someone introduced us. And we're both in coaching careers and sort of changing our careers after many years too. So let's start with how are you today? Welcome. And what brought you to coaching and what are you up to these days?
Well, first of all, I want to say, Charlene, thank you so much for inviting me on your podcast. It's very exciting for me. Um, it was great to kind of connect with you, and that's, one of the things that are so exciting, kind of pivoting into like a new career and a new space, being able to meet so many people and share kind of our experiences and our stories. So thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure.
Um, so my story is I'll date it back to when I graduated McGill, but I promise I won't spend too long in that time period. But when I graduated McGill management, my kind of journey I thought was going to lead me down a human resources path. I truly enjoyed organizational behavior. I really enjoyed kind of the management of people, and I really thought HR was going to be my passion. But at the student career fair, which is what was available to us at the time, um, there was a woman there who was talking about her company that were hiring marketing and salespeople. And she heard me giving my pitch in HR, and she approached me and she said, "You need to interview with our company. You will absolutely fit our corporate culture." So without a second thought, I took an interview that following Monday, and I was hired on Tuesday, and I worked at this company for 30 years. 30 years in one
Wow.
corporation, but this company offers people like me, type A personalities, to operate where there is no kind of ceiling and there's no kind of comfort zone. It rewards people that take initiative and are proactive, and people really thrive there. And I really couldn't believe that it was 30 years. Um, and that came to an end. And really, I had to rediscover who I was. Like, I really had to figure out who Heather was outside of this corporation.
Mhm.
And so when I gave myself some time to kind of really reflect on what did I actually love about my career there, it was really about the people. It was really the leading, it was the mentoring, it was the kind of consulting like behavior where, I participated and contributed greatly to onboarding of new employees and promoting people and really kind of taking people from point A to point B. And then it occurred to me, what if I became a career coach? What if I studied and went back to school and got a coaching certification and really spent time understanding how do I give back now to our community or to people that are like me, kind of finding themselves needing to pivot at 50 some odd years old, redefining myself. And then it occurred to me that really the generation that needs a career coach are our young students and our professionals that are coming out of school, may not have their pulse or really an understanding what hiring managers are all about. And so my real focus and audience niche is helping students and early professionals navigate their first time careers and layer that with a coaching certification. Now I'm a career coach and I can coach anybody, because what my belief is that you coach the person, not the problem.
Yes. Marsha Reynolds, I think.
I credit many people who have said that, but the
Yeah.
International Coaching
Mm,
Federation is
mm.
very, very kind of clear on developing coaches that hone in on the person and what
Yeah.
they need.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
really
Yeah. No.
implementing that into my coaching practice.
Yeah. And so why did you think coaching was going to help you do this new practice or career that you're talking about?
So for the last 25 years, I spent my time telling people kind of what to do. Um, Managing people, and if someone was stuck with a particular problem, we would take a look at what the problem was. We would dissect it. We would separate the problem, the root cause, and look at potential solutions. We would always look at three solutions, and then we would pick the best one that fit the business needs. But it occurred to me that for 25 years, I was always telling people what to do. And really, what I could have been doing is coaching them through some of these problems and coaching them through so they themselves come to the realization and they themselves have the awareness. How can I solve the problem? How can I get from point A to point B? And it's not me telling them, it's them figuring it out with me as a partner. And I love the opportunity suddenly to become a partner than business manager.
Right.
And so
Interesting.
I felt that that was such a great complementary skill set that I can add to whatever had already accumulated over my corporate life.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And I just want to go back to something because we were, when I first met you, we were talking about campus to career. And, when
Hmm.
you hear the word campus, you think student.
Hmm.
Having said that, though, it's like I'm a student because,
Hmm.
well, first of all, I believe I'm always a student of life in general. I'm always learning. And, I'm a student in this new life of mine as well. So my campus is like everything that I'm navigating these days and stuff. So I don't know, you don't have to necessarily be a young adult. You can also
Yes.
be a little bit older and in a different phase of life. So I thought that was really
Absolutely. And you know
fun.
what, Charlene, when we spoke initially and you enlightened me to campus is the campus of life,
Right.
it was such clarity for me too, because that's exactly kind of where I'm at. And that's exactly kind of where I'm pivoting to. There's a lot of moms that are pivoting back to work after maternity leave. There's a lot of unfortunately people that have been laid off and restructured due to the market or maybe AI or what have you, but there's a lot of people that are finding themselves not prepared for their next steps, whatever their next steps are. And so it doesn't necessarily need to be you're leaving university or a school, but you want to transition into something and you're stuck and you want to go to point B, but you don't know how to get there. That's the clarity and the confidence that someone is looking for, and why they would, benefit from having a career coach.
Yeah. Can you share a couple of experiences where having the coaching made such a difference in working with the people that you're working with?
Yeah, actually, everything that I work on is, I show up and I'm present and I'm curious for the coachee, if you will. So yesterday I met with a very, very bright student who's looking for an internship for next year, and he was unclear as to how he would broach the subject with his hiring manager. So he kind of knew what he wanted, but he didn't actually know what to do. What was his first step? How does he put into words why his hiring manager should consider him for a secondary position or a full-time position? And so oftentimes our students or our children or people become overwhelmed because they want to say something, but they don't know how to put it into words, or they want to describe their qualifications, but they don't really understand how to make it valuable for somebody who's listening. And so one of the recent coaching experiences was really helping this bright young mind translate all his experience into a cohesive discussion that he can have with his hiring manager so he can talk about his future at this company. And that's really what I get so excited about, because they're these bright minds and they really just need somebody to kind of help them really just polish up their experience and position themselves in a different way. And I just love that, we took an hour and he left the session with clarity, with confidence, with his own action plan that he's accountable for. And I'm excited for our next session when he gets to tell me how his conversation went. Um, Another kind of client that I'm working with, she's a superstar and she already knows what she wants to be when she grows up. And so part of what how we're working together is helping her use her summer as a growth plan so that she can network and that she can do some proactive reaching out and she can really engage in some personal projects. And so where I find that fascinating, and where I find that I work so well with adults who are pivoting and transitioning is how do you stand out in today's market? There's a significant number of people that are unemployed and a significant number of people that may have the same skill set as everybody else applying. So how do you stand out on your resume? How do you storytell your experiences so that your resume is picked for an interview and that you're the one that the hiring or the interviewer remembers in your interview? And all of this, I get to bring my hiring manager and my corporate experience into these conversations.
Mhm.
And these aha moments that we get to in our sessions is just, it's amazing. It's really, it's such a profound impact on me.
Wow. I'm excited for you, actually. It sounds
Thank
great. I
you.
probably need to have a session with you too.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Um, I wanted to know like who are your clientele, and what are the biggest things or themes that you're seeing with people today in terms of looking for a job? Some
Yeah, for
challenges.
sure. So, most of the challenges and most of the themes that I'm seeing, whether it's a student or an adult, is people are overwhelmed with being able to put a one-page resume together. And not just the task of putting a resume, but understanding how to kind of bypass the advanced tracking systems that a lot of companies are utilizing these days to kind of filter out all of the resumes that are just coming in.
Mm.
Common themes, as well as bypassing the advanced tracking systems, are more to do with how do you summarize and storytell your experience into an impact that's going to mean something. And so one of the discussions that I was having today is um, most people put their resume together with a bullet, I supported it or I contributed, but they stop short into telling me what was really the impact, what changed because you contributed, what changed because you formalized this report. And so really the commonalities that I'm seeing are resumes today are really just a description of tasks. And what I'm bringing to the table with the people that are coaching with me is let's kind of, hone your skill set, but let's include the story of what your impact was. So I kind of work with people to say, listen, you've you've created this story for me, and I'm just about to turn to the last chapter to get to the good part, and the story ends. I want to know how
Mm.
the story ends. So those are some of the common things that I'm working with, especially with my adult clients. Some of the more commonalities are people kind of are really underplaying and underpositioning their LinkedIn profile because LinkedIn is kind of like the secondary touch point from a lot of the hiring managers. They look at your CV, they're interested, they go to your LinkedIn. Your LinkedIn tells a different story from your resume. So how do you optimize LinkedIn to really continue telling the story and really have that value kind of come out? Um, and those are really the commonalities. What's fun for me also is role playing interviews. I've done that a couple of times. There's nothing better than opening your email and getting an email from someone saying, thank you so much for helping me role play that interview. I just want to tell you, I got the job. And
Mm.
then it's a great celebration, not just with the person that I coached, but it's a celebration for me too. It really is a partnership journey. This is a relationship that we're formulating where we're in the kind of the journey together. And so those are kind of really the commonalities that I'm seeing. Um, but really, my my audience has been traditionally, students and early professionals, primarily because I'm a mom of three. My kids are ranging in ages from 20 to 23, and I've seen firsthand through my own kids what they've navigated when they've were looking for a job, or they had trouble with a CV, or they were interviewing for, either part-time position or internships.
Mm.
I've worked with a lot of their friends who had no idea how they could use LinkedIn. So working with some of their friends to kind of just introduce the possibility of having a LinkedIn profile, and then had a network. And so really, I show up for the person. So whatever the topic is, I show up for somebody who is in right here, and they want to get to here and they don't know how to do it.
Mm.
Anyone who is stuck.
Yeah. Nice. Tell me, you really articulate well and you're explaining what you do very well.
Thank you.
Tell me, yeah, I appreciate that. Tell me
Thank
what has
you.
surprised you the most since you started on your coaching journey?
What has surprised me the most is how much I'm learning about myself in this coaching journey. How, because as I mentioned at the beginning, I'm also getting my coaching certification, and I am absolutely loving being coached and being a coach. And what I learn is, you know, being curious. And so as a mom, I tend to ask a lot of closed questions. And what surprises me is when you take your closed question and you make it open and you start your questions with what and how. What surprises me is that you can uncover so much more,
Mhm.
not just about what I'm thinking, but really kind of what you're engaged in, like with the conversation. And so what surprises me usually is somebody comes to a session and they think that, maybe their problem statement is this, but when you stay curious and you ask more questions, they really uncover a deeper issue or a deeper problem or something deeper that they would really like to kind of, troubleshoot through. And most often, it's just the ability to talk about something that you've played in your mind.
Mhm.
Once you talk about that and you vocalize that, people get so much clarity.
Mhm. Yeah.
And because I allow myself to be coached as well, I'm walking the same footsteps as the people that I'm coaching.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, you answered another question I was going to ask you, which is what has coaching done for you? So that was
Yeah.
part of the surprise. Yeah.
Well, what coaching really does is it allows, I'm a curious person by nature and I always ask a lot of questions. But what coaching does for me is it allows me to hold space for when people answer. So, for instance, I would have in an interview described myself, if anyone asked me about a weakness, I would have probably used impatient. Um, I'm a high action oriented individual. I like momentum. The momentum just kind of, it's a fire in my belly and I like to keep going. And if I have to stop, I kind of lose patience. How coaching has changed me is it allows me to be patient and hold space for the person who's either having an aha moment, who maybe is taking notes, or who's really processing what we've just talked about and it's landed a certain way. And so coaching has allowed me to be more patient.
Hmm. Yeah. And so you've learned to be more patient. And can you share something else that you have learned about yourself, if you feel like it?
Sure. Let's see.
Hmm.
What I've learned about myself, and it's maybe less about the actual coaching, but more about the entrepreneur or the entrepreneurial spirit, is how you need a good support system when you're building something. And when I say support system, what I'm really talking about is you need to have an ability to network, and you need to be able to open doors and walk through and then look at the opportunity and then walk through another door. And so I've always known that part of, what my strengths is networking and meeting people. And of course, I met you through someone, and now we're on your podcast together, and we're both of us are already thinking, well, how are we going to optimize this podcast, and how are we going to be visible and share our stories
Mm.
and connect with other people? And so the coaching journey has reminded me how much I love networking. And it has reminded me that I do have the entrepreneurial spirit, but it
Mhm.
is tough. And I do need people to remind me that this is tough, but so am I. I need people to encourage me that, I'm not going to just announce, hey, I'm a career coach, and then all of a sudden I've got 5 clients every day, all day. It's you're building something and it takes time and your deadlines need to be realistic. And I get up every day and I put content on my LinkedIn and I come up with content on my Instagram and Facebook.
Mhm.
Um, and I need to move forward.
Mhm.
And I need to be strong and tough that some posts will land and some will not, and not to get bogged down in the details.
Mhm.
Why I got into coaching in the first place was to have an impact on people.
Mhm.
So I'm always reminding myself why I did this, why I think this is what I'm meant to do in this chapter of my life. I
Yeah.
don't know if I rambled on a few things there, so I apologize if I kind of
No.
took you down a
Miss
windy road.
Miss Type A personality. I made a little note. Don't worry, I'm Type C. I can follow you.
Okay, perfect.
I'm not a Type A. But I was thinking about that when you said Type A personality, my back went up right away, and I was like, "Ooh, Type A personality." What do you do when you're with not a Type A personality, right? Like someone who is not Type A.
And I think this is where my manager and leader kind of experience comes through because as a manager, I often managed people that were either 30, at the time I was a 24-year-old manager managing people that were 20, 25 years my senior. And let me tell you, as a 24-year-old, you learn a lot about yourself when you're managing people that is, old enough to be your parent and they see you as young enough to be your child. I navigated a very tough industry that I perceive to be kind of male dominated. Um, I manage all types of people, and this is where I'm able to adapt and be flexible. I'm able to meet my audience. I'm able to, I wouldn't say use the word chameleon, but part of being a manager and a leader so long is to show up for the person and to be the person that they need you to be.
Yeah.
So I may be type A in trying to launch a business and try to, drive revenue and build clientele, but I mirror what the person needs.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what coaching is about too, right? Leadership coaching. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And, I want to go back to this is for people who are looking for jobs and who are having a tough time or, swimming in that big ocean.
Hmm.
What are you shared a few really great key things about looking at LinkedIn, looking at your CV and how to look at
Hmm.
it. What are some trends that are coming up that will help the people who don't feel as ready or prepared or a little bit, you know, maybe less hopeful about things?
I think if you're someone that is looking to pivot or transition, you need to spend some time getting to know yourself and really honing in on what your strengths are and what you've done at your previous company and why that's valuable. I think it's more about, bringing that awareness of who you are and really what you want. So I'm working with a young individual now. He sent me his CV, and the CV is beautifully written. A lot of experience, but the only thing that's missing is I don't really know what kinds of jobs he's actually looking for. So it reads like he can do 4 different jobs. And so my feedback in coaching him is who do you really want to be and what type of role are you really looking for? Because it sounds like you can do one of these 4 things. And the
Mm,
trend really is that people have so much experience that they're trying to be everything to everyone. But who what are you really good at? And I think if you are someone who's putting your CV together for the first time or brushing up an old CV, you have to be clear on what position you really want and what your skill set is. So, are you so for me, my background is marketing and digital marketing, and those are sort of related fields, but I have a lot of experience in supply chain and operations. So do I put all of those on a CV, or do I put just one? And
Mm.
so trend is people are putting all four, but it's confusing. And if someone can't figure out who you are in 30 seconds, sweep on next.
Mm. Yeah, there's not a lot of time. So we need to be more directed
Hmm.
towards one thing, more focused. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Need to
so
be very clear on who you are and what you're looking for.
yeah. And your background in the field, in the corporate field and putting that coaching together, I could see how that would be really helpful because you do have that edge of knowing, what needs to be on that CV and helping that person find that out, in your
Hmm.
curious way so that you can help them with their CV and with what they need to be working on and looking for in order to get that job. It's like very, very specific.
Yeah, it is because, Charlene, you bring up a good point. It's not just about your resume, right? The resume might actually get you a call back, but then you have an interview. What story are you going to tell? How are you going to bring the bullet points that you've just put on a resume into a story that's compelling enough that the hiring manager is then going to pass you over to a VP or a president or whatever that next step is? And so, really, where the coaching totally complements the assets that I'm bringing into play is because I help people figure out who they are and what they're good at. And I help people tell that story so that when they get to that interview step, the story is engaging and the story is authentic and it's genuine. Anyone can put a CV together with AI, no problem. By the way, everyone can tell what a CV is put together with AI, and that's fine. But when you get to that interview stage, you can't use AI. So how are you bringing what you've just written on paper to life and make that sound genuine and authentic?
Yeah, yeah. AI is has a lot of impact and influence on us, and we have to be
It
careful.
does.
Yeah, we have to be careful.
Well, how I've been working with my students and how I'm doing some workshops coming up in some of the universities, and I'm excited about that because I'm going to be getting to some students who are going into co-op. So they do 4 months in a cooperative work setting. And one of the things that I'm talking to them about is how do you use AI as your thought partner? And so some companies, there are different stages how companies are using AI. And really, the the smart companies are the ones who are embracing it and who are providing their workforce with the confidence that you can use AI as your thought partner. And I'm excited to talk to people about how do you use AI in a productive way, in an efficient way, not to define who you are, but maybe to enhance your story or to really think of what you're doing. One of the things that I was talking to one of my clients about is um, how is she using AI to improve a process that she's already doing, and not to have AI tell her about the process,
Mhm.
but what performance indicators could AI point out to her that she might not have thought about as she's reflecting on this process improvement project. And
Mm,
so it's okay for her to use AI. She's not asking AI, can you improve this process for me? She's asking AI as my thought partner, I want to come up with some key performance indicators. Which ones can I think about that will help me really tackle this problem in a comprehensive manner?
yeah, it's great. So you're really putting together AI and the person to get, using them together
Mm-hmm.
so that we can,
Yeah.
embrace what's happening in our reality of AI and at the same time bringing ourselves into the equation, like our true essence, our true selves into
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And that's a really, like you asked about trends, that's another trend that I'm working on with the students primarily because those are the resumes that I've seen most often.
Mm,
And they have a lot of like software skill set, and some of them do a lot of coding. There's a lot of trends in AI, and it's no longer okay to be proficient in Microsoft Office.
mhm,
People need to have data analytics. And there's a lot of trends that I would say for our early professionals about how to optimize optimize their course load, so that if a student is looking at a background in finance, they do need some accounting courses. If a
Mhm.
student is looking at doing an HR competency, they should actually take a few courses in data analytics. So a lot of trends that I'm seeing is really trying to open, the early professionals mindset to. When I was in McGill, I took the art of listening. It was a great course. I loved classical music, not really helping me today. And if a student really wants to kind of have a robust background, they should really take a look at something in data analytics, because a lot of employers want to know how you can use data analytics to help them solve problems or improve processes. And that's a huge trend that I'm seeing, that I'm spending a lot of time talking about.
Nice. What what do you, I don't want to be all doom and gloom, but like what are you sort of worried about? What worries you?
Um, Me as a coach or for our young professionals?
Both, whatever comes to mind. Yeah.
Um, it's a great question. So what worries me, for, let's say, for my clientele, is someone who is overwhelmed, um, who thinks that AI can help them become a better person. Pivoting to a new career, transitioning in a workforce, or coming out of school is tough. It's
Mhm.
not easy. And I worry that more people should be asking for help and
Mhm.
should be coached or consulted or mentored. But people are moving so quickly that they're not pausing long enough. And what worries me is it took me 30 years to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up. So what worries me is people not putting their hand up to say, I need help.
Mhm.
Um, what would worry me as an individual is, um, I love to have an impact. I really do. Um, do I have a little bit of imposter syndrome? Sure. Um, I I'm learning through this process, that I can't be everything to everyone, and that coaching really needs a fit. You need to have a fit with somebody. And so, do I worry about, you know, being rejected? Maybe there are some people where, you talk about, coaching and what I could bring to the table. And there have been a few students that I met with, cold leads that saw my posts on LinkedIn or Instagram, and they didn't return for a second coaching session.
Mhm.
But it's not about me.
Mhm.
And while maybe at the beginning, I may have taken it personally, um, I, I really need to stay focused and be present in the moment. And it's about having impact for the other person. It's not about me.
Mhm.
So it was an early worry for me, but I keep that top of mind for myself. It's not about me. It's
Mhm.
about me wanting to have impact with someone.
Mhm.
But this is about me helping someone get the clarity, and move forward.
Thank you for that honesty. Yeah. Thank you. And so, what are you most hopeful for and excited about?
I'm most hopeful with growing the business and taking it to another level. Yes, I love to do one-on-one coaching sessions, but what I'd really love is, to do some workshops at some, either, some companies, or do some workshops at partner with some of the larger firms. And to really kind of speak to an audience of 50 plus people. So I'm excited for my Concordia workshop. There should be about 50 students in there, and I'm really hoping, to be signed on for future workshops with the cohort that I'm working with. Um, I would like to work with, with more adults and parents, and to really help more people, um, feel better, because I know how, pardon my French, shitty it felt, to be stuck and to not know where to go. And I worked with a fabulous career coach. I don't think I would be sitting here today with a smile on my face. And she was instrumental in guiding me through launching this business. I would not have been able to do it without her. And I really have to say that it's not a huge commitment to work and partner with someone. I would say, Charlene, as a life coach, had I met you before, I would have reached out to you as well. I really think life coaching and career coaching is very crucial to people who feel a certain way. It could be 2 to 3 sessions, it could be 5 sessions. But having that partner in a safe space that could bring something different to the table. And of course, you need the right client. You need someone who's willing to roll up their sleeves and do the work.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you've been a formidable presence from your experience in your industry, and
Mm-hmm.
you've got a brand that really has a very, very positive reputation. So you've pivoted having a brand name. I've come onto the scene kind of branding myself. But for all your listeners out there, life coach, career coach, a coach is something that a lot of people really need.
Yeah. Well, listen, I am also pivoting. I mean, I went from makeup and spa, which I still do some makeup, but to this, to life coaching and I also my biggest value is making an impact. When you said making an impact, I really resonated with that, and I think that's where we have a lot in common because, when we did that exercise in class and you chose from like 50 of them and then you went down to five or three or whatever it
Hmm.
was. Well, they all fit under the box of making an impact.
Hmm.
So that was one of my questions for you, but you had already answered it. So because I'm always curious about that, like where we get our values from, and that those values, they are the ones that fuel our passion and our purpose, which is what
Hmm.
this podcast is all about, right? So that is yeah, that's where it all comes from. And yeah, I would also suggest anyone who is questioning themselves, wondering about, who they are becoming, who they want to become, just really understanding themselves better. That's the type of work that I do at this time. And you are also very career oriented, and so there's a place for everybody and a time
Hmm.
it's all about also time, place, timing, people, personalities. And I had a wonderful career for so many years with my mother, and so grateful for it, and also grateful for all the opportunities it gave me, and how, working with people one on one was always a very special thing for me. So but I have to say that I'm really excited for you because I could see how excited you are, how focused you are, how like in it to win it you are. And I mean in it to win it, not just for yourself, but really for the people you're working with. And that shows like true leadership. You are very, you have an amazing experience in your industry, and it's been so wonderful to hear about all the people that you've been working with and where you want to take it. And so, yeah, it's really fabulous. Great energy. Yeah.
Thank you. I,
As I
I
talk about
honestly
energy.
no, but I love it. It's in it to win it. And frankly, I am. I'm in it to win it. And so I'm a coach, but I'm also kind of selling myself and selling my brand and selling my capabilities. And it's awakened something in me that I'm super happy and I'm super settled. And I really I look at my lifespan and the last 30 years I've spent in corporate. I've experienced a lot and I remain empathetic. And, while I have the vision of what people are trying to do, it's super fun to actually let them realize that path and that journey. And so I really just what it pains me is if people are suffering in silence or people don't understand,
Yeah.
what does a coach do and how are you different? I think one of the things we talked about was how is coaching different from consulting
Yes.
and like it really is something that was super fun to learn because even a mentor is very different from coaching. And one of the
Mhm.
conversations I had this morning was actually how I show up. And some days I'm a coach and some days I'm a mentor.
Mhm.
I worked with a client who really just wanted to work on his resume and didn't want to be coached. And that's great because I can help you work on your resume. But I'm a coach, first and foremost. And I'm really super passionate about this, and I just hope that I'm fruitful and prosperous because I really do believe in arming people with the confidence to do what they want to be doing.
Yeah. Amazing. Great. Yeah. And so, I guess, I mean, you just gave us a beautiful message, but is there anything else that you want to add to let people know about anything? I'm gonna add all your information about how to reach
Great.
out to you. That's not a problem, and that's always welcome and exciting. I love adding that, and I love that networking part. That's why one of the reasons why I love doing this
Hmm.
podcast. But what is one last message that you might want to share with people?
I think if even one or two people feel as if they can benefit from coaching and they're curious, text me, email me, find out more. Let's have initial discussion to see if this is a fit, because this isn't about me selling a service. This is about me being a partner to somebody. And if you need that partner and you're unsure, open that door, take the step forward, have an initial conversation with me. If you like it and you think it's great and you think we connect, terrific. Let's set up one session, a variety of sessions. But if you hesitate for 3 seconds, you want to learn more, um, you know, go to my website, or let's just have an initial conversation. I always offer complimentary sessions as we figure out what is it that you need, and
Mhm.
then we move forward with a plan.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
it's
great. I think that's really important because also I find like coaching, a lot of people don't really know what it is and don't really know what it feels like. And so it's important to be able to offer people some conversations before they get started, you know? Yeah. And sometimes I feel
yeah.
like one conversation isn't enough. Do you feel that way too?
Hmm.
I feel like you
Always,
need
yeah.
like I don't feel like we have so much pressure that we have to like you have to decide, on the spot, and maybe you have a few more questions the next time, and maybe, like we are here to make an impact for people, so it's not going to happen just like that.
Yeah. And what I think people don't realize is coaching is really to help you kind of, you know, get that thought that's in your back of your head to the forefront and to hear you say it, and then think about how did you feel when you just said that? What came up for you? And really, this is all like it's mind-blowing when you hear the person say it and then wow, it lands either well or it doesn't. And then you're like, well, what else? What else does that mean to you? Um, and it could take one session and it could take a few sessions. But it's really, these can be powerful um, for people that are stuck or
Yeah.
that are overwhelmed and don't know how to take a first step forward.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you so much. This was really great. I'd love to talk to you more about coaching, and like as we move forward in our careers, we should definitely do this again and have like a great chat about it and see what we're doing and where we're going and how we've made an impact on people and what we can do for people and support them and partner with them, because that's exactly what it is. So thank you so
Yeah.
much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I want to remind everyone that all of Heather's contacts, information, and pages will be, in the description of our podcast today. Yeah.
And thank you. I loved our discussion. Your questions were so insightful and they were so on point. And thank you for reaching out to me. I'm truly blessed and I'm very happy to be collaborating with you.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for listening to this episode of People, Their Passion and Purpose. I'm with Heather Goldsmith today, and it's been really great. Have a wonderful day.